2. Can you believe it's the 96th episode of Wayne's World and Kelly? And look, Wayne is actually here, so that makes it great. We have a wonderful guest, Erik Norman. Wayne, please introduce everything about Erik, everything you've ever heard about him.
Well, that would take the whole podcast, but full disclosure and transparency, Erik has been a good friend of mine since the playground years back in Eau
I
Claire,
told you
Wisconsin.
he had a friend.
Yep, yep,
That's
definitely proud to have him on the program. Lots to talk about, too much to talk about, too little time. Erik's present capacity is president at Swiss Print America, and quite the journey to get there. Why don't we back up a little bit, because a good story always starts from the beginning. I'll let you start in the beginning of where you want to define what the beginning is. Go ahead, Norm.
Wow, talking about an open-ended start.
Right.
That's
So your parents were traveling down Route 66 from Chicago to LA.
Back on the playground of Man's School in Eau Claire, Wisconsin.
Yeah, right. Going way back.
Yeah, we do go way back, actually. Grade school days, I'm pretty sure. And
yeah,
had shared experiences around trouble in Eau Claire, when we're bored and young kids decide to do stupid things.
Right.
The best part about those stupid things and getting a little bit of trouble, you learn a lot and you figure out how to get out of stuff. And then you
Right.
at a later point reflect back and go, there's life lessons in here. And they
Right.
actually serve you pretty darn well. And
Right.
So that's pretty fun. But no, my I don't know, sort of professional journey, I guess, was went to college, graduated, got a job down in Florida, and my career's been in and around sales, and moved home because I've got a lovely, beautiful bride of 30 some odd years, and 35 actually, to be exact. And she had a better job than I did, so I had to, and she wouldn't move to Florida, so I came home, to St. Paul, Minnesota. We got married, and the rest is history. I've been riding her coattails ever since. And in the meantime, various jobs within the print industry, side journey a little bit into the apartment space for a couple of years, thinking I wanted to get out of the print industry. And then, just like the Hotel California, it yanked me right back in when I tried to leave. And I love it. I love the print space. I love manufacturing. I love the creativity within it. I love printers. I think they're a great, trade, and they're creative problem solvers, and they're just salt of the earth kind of people. And I love to be around salt of the earth kind of people.
What's your favorite German printer?
My favorite German printer, I don't have a favorite German printer, but my favorite Swiss one is a Swiss Q print, manufactured in Switzerland. That's what we're making today.
Oh, nice.
I can't go with the German flavor, because they'd all be competitors, and that would, that would not work.
Oh man, I thought all the best ones came from Switzerland.
Switzerland, there you go. They speak Swiss German, so I guess that's kind of close.
Right.
So one of the things about Erik that I'll just kind of lay it out there. He as you can tell by the conversation and how it's going, he's a very humble guy. Truth of the matter is he got a full scholarship at Indiana University, All-American swimmer. Norm, going back to some of those formative years, in college and then post-college, and, the sales career that you have built, you and I have talked about sales endlessly throughout all of the years. How did some of those early experiences, and especially in the leadership role that you took as a swimmer, kind of translate into a marketable skill about where you're at right now?
Well, I think when I look back at the just the athletic career, first and foremost, personal discipline, I think, is a big part of that. And then if I think through, that journey, accountability to yourself and to the team, and then I think the power of being able to see something before you realize it. So vision, really, I'm a big believer in kind of having the power of vision, not just, as a leader saying, having a vision for your company and where you want to go personally, but I really think that, it's the power of what's in between the two ears. And in a sales capacity, boy, you got to believe in yourself and you got to see the results that you want to achieve, and you got to be personally disciplined and accountable to go after it every day, even when things feel like, you're in the doldrums or they're not going your way. And you just every day you pick yourself up, you get going, and tomorrow's better than the next. And you got to believe the best is always yet to come. So I think athletics taught a lot of that. And with the benefit of age and hindsight, you sort of look back and you see points along the time continuum where you go, oh, that was a lesson. Oh, that was a lesson. You don't even realize how it's applying. But I think those days, they shaped me, and I think they were wonderful.
So
When
you
you were
got
in
you
high
got three
school, what
guys.
time did you get up in the morning to go swimming?
It's a good question.
Yeah, probably 5:15.
Tim and
Yeah.
Nan George, I'm sure you heard of them, famous swimmers from Manassas, Virginia, back in the late 70s, early 80s. They would get up at dark 30 and go swimming, and along with some other kids that I shouldn't know their names. But it was, I mean, they were talking about being wide awake for first period. They've been up for hours and they've been swimming in cold water.
Yeah.
I can't imagine. This was Virginia. I can't even imagine what it's like. What were you like swimming in Manitowoc? Is that the
Ooh,
place we
Minnetonka,
all
good
swim?
one.
Yeah.
Good reference. Wow. Wow.
Yeah, I'm a big Prince fan.
So you got three guys on this call. One self-taught sales. You, Kelly, blue chip IBMer. Erik, I want you to know that about Kelly. Erik, were you more self-taught? I know Kelly has combined a lot of the training he got with IBM and has his own style. Let's have a little banter back and forth. You, IBM, Kelly, and then Erik, and how all that is formulated into where you're at now with what your deliverables are with the client.
Yeah. I'm probably in between you guys, right? In between sort of self-taught, but also working for companies that, invested in us as, marketers and salespeople. So, going through different courses. And I think, just choosing to learn, vicariously through others and figuring out best practices from others, but not in a sort of a formal corporate, hey, here's our, specific training methodology, et cetera. So probably in between you guys.
Kelly, did
Two
IBM allow
favorite
you
books.
to?
Go ahead.
My two favorite books, actually, one of them I decided to reread. It's right here. It's called Conversational Intelligence by Judith Glaser.
What do you like about it?
Oh my gosh. What I like about it is, when you're talking with somebody, you evoke emotion. I mean, instantly, right?
Yep.
I mean, how you approach what you say, how you say it, your demeanor, the body language, the whole thing. And I think recognizing how you're either sort of adding value or let's say causing somebody to draw in or draw away. And Conversational Intelligence, a great book about just the psychology of, the power of your words and language and how you say something and what you say is just really, really important. So I'm rereading that. It's been a few years, but it came up in a conversation. So I actually pulled it out a couple of days ago. It's been sitting on the corner of my desk, and I'm trying to flip through some old notes. So
Are you finding you had a lot of that within you? That's one thing I always like to ask people when they read books. We want to read books to help us perform better. And then you, Kelly, after Erik answers, did you find a lot with the IBM training that you went through that you already had? So Erik, tell me how you're incorporating this, and have you seen parts of yourself in that already?
Oh, yeah. I guess I've always felt I'm a pretty decent communicator, but I think it validates. I've generally been intuitively correct more than not in terms of how I read people or read situations. And so this kind of validates that. I mean, I've often had people say that I'm sort of easy to talk to and warm and engaging, et cetera. And that's just a style that I've probably had because I'm generally laid back, and I really like people, and I tend to be curious, and I think those are good combinations,
Yeah.
especially on the sales sides. And you have that, I think, certainly naturally, but then a lot of it just is it's developed, and it's who you hang around, and who you're
Okay.
learning.
Yep.
So what's the second
Kelly,
book?
The second book, that's a good question. Probably Developing the Leader Within You by John Maxwell.
Uh, John Maxwell lives maybe an hour north of me, and I've had the pleasure of hearing him speak at a
Yeah.
church up
Yeah.
in West Palm Beach, and you can hear a pin drop. There's like, I don't know, 15, 1,600 people in the room.
Yep.
I go to the early service and I stick around and I listen the second time. Definitely, I
Yeah.
think he's by far one of the top 3 teachers ever to walk
Yeah.
this planet. So yeah, good reference. And I'm gonna actually wrote down the other one by Glazier. I'm not familiar with that one, so I want to read it. So
Check it out.
in response to Wayne's question, for me, I think it's everything. I've invested a lot. I've invested thousands and thousands of dollars going to hear other people speak over the years. Partially it's because of my age, partially because I'm willing to spend money to invest in myself. IBM, and I also learned a lot from car sales, from real estate sales, from selling mortgages, high net worth investments. I've been selling and doing, I like the way you said, marketing, business development, and sales, I think are all intertwined. And I think you have to do all 3. And I think when you separate it, you do a disservice to the brand of anything.
Yeah.
How can you market something if you don't know how to sell it? And how can you sell something if you don't know how it's marketed? But I think it's one of the good things about being a little bit older. I'm assuming you're north of 50 since you're probably close to Wayne's age.
We graduated from
I
high
am
school
Wayne,
together.
I am Wayne's age.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
we're now seniors, and we're mentors, and hopefully we're still learning from people every day. But
Yeah.
it's a harsh reality when we find out, dang, I'm old. Now you and I look younger because we have this going. Wayne, on the other hand, he's follically challenged, but it's in my contract. I get to tease him every 5th episode. So
I gotta tell you, Wayne, you should remember this. This was some years ago. I actually used Wayne, one of Wayne's experiences in some sales training with the team. And I titled it Wayne and the Mosso Bamboo. You remember that, Wayne?
Yes, I do remember that. Yep.
Yeah.
The story of the
I
bamboo.
loved it. We were talking
what's the
about,
story?
yeah, well,
Is it about bamboo not growing, then all of a sudden shooting real high? Is it that story?
exactly, in the 1,825 days or whatever the number is, that if you got to
Right.
consistently water and water and water. And we're talking about the aspect of persistence and nurturing, and how sometimes you win the race by being the guy that just shows up every day, every day, every day, every day. And I loved, there was an example in there that was so cool that Wayne had shared. He said, finally, the Mosso Boo story, he wrote this guy a letter that said, hey, if it takes me 1,800 whatever days, I'm going to keep knocking on the door. And the guy goes like, come on in, let's have a meeting. It turned out to be a major client for you. And I thought that was such a great real world story.
And I don't know if I followed up with you on that, but thank you. And I appreciate, the compliment, but he actually shared that with his sales team and said, I've never even met this guy in person, but why can't you be more like him? So nobody ever knows how you're going to, affect other people's lives. But the bottom line with what we all do here for a living is, I firmly believe that it's impossible to beat the person that won't give up, right? I mean, God, Erik, you and I and Kelly and I, we've talked so much about this journey that we've been on. And I think Erik very succinctly summed it up by saying, a lot of times it's showing up being the last person standing. I really believe that if you have that within you, you're at least going to get a shot. You're at least going to get that. Right. But I have read, and Erik, tell me if you heard this stat, Kelly too, it takes an average of 12 touches to get even into the door. Now, I didn't know that until about a decade ago. Have you guys known that? I think about that 12 times. How many people give up after 1 time, 2 times? Most of them.
Well, they do.
Sure.
And I think,
it doesn't work.
Well, it doesn't work. I think,
What they say.
Kelly, you know, from your IBM days, I remember, you know, ages ago, that number of touches used to be about half that. And it's
Sure.
getting more and more and more. And what's interesting is certainly when you're dealing with in a B2B sense now, the statistics today are you've got an average of 6 to 7 buyers in the
Yeah,
decision-making process. So not
Right.
only is it taking you 14 touches to, or 12 touches or whatever it is to get in, you've got to navigate an increasingly complex buying cycle. And the buyer journeys are changing. So, you know, in some respects, sales is getting easier because we've got better tools with social media and other things. On the other side of it, it's getting a heck of a lot harder.
Right.
And grit and curiosity and patience and all that stuff's becoming more and more important.
yeah.
I
Kelly and
don't
I
think
have
it's
to
getting
sell to a board. You got minimum of what, 5 or 6 people on a board, Kelly, and each one of them is important because they all have a vote, right? But I guess probably on your end, describe your cycle a little bit and the complexity of it, Erik.
So, I mean, our typical buying cycle is a year plus. I mean, we have very
Yep.
high value capital equipment. And of course, you know, at the moment with interest rate changes, et cetera, I mean, that, you know, we've had a few monkey wrenches tossed in the wheels, but, you know, I mean, you navigate it from try to get in the door to finding the right people to presenting the right value proposition. And at the end of the day, really creating some impact and curiosity and desire on behalf of that customer. And I would say it's less of being salesy and it's more of being just really interested in serving them, helping their business, and curious about where they're going and willing to present solutions that might not even be your own, and just to help them. And I think
absolutely.
if you help enough people with a genuine heart and attitude toward it, you know what? At some point when they're ready, you're going to be at the table. And if your solution is the right one, you will have developed trust and rapport and all those other things that you want to do. And I don't care what sales course you go through, it's not the lingo you use or the tricky little thing you present or whatever some of that crap is. At the end of the day, it's you and me, and we have a connection and a level of trust and a rapport there that says, hey, this guy that's talking to me wants to help my business. And if you really want to help solve problems for people, they want you around.
100%.
Yeah, yeah, it's I know us three have talked, us two have talked, three, I can't even think. Talked about some of the big companies out there that sell objection based selling. Like I'm going to say something, and then you have to say something to overcome that. I went through that program, and Erik, I know you and I have talked about that. I'm very much against that, and I've had very healthy discussions with people in sales that will swear by it. All I'm saying is that if you have to overcome adversarial conditions when you're in the sales cycle, I think you've already lost. What do you guys say?
Well, being that we're dealing with board members and we get such a
Yeah,
cross section, I get CEOs of international corporations who we've actually had on the show in the past. And you get people that are, were housewives for 40 years. And actually, some of the housewives were darn great homeowners and ran their business or their house business real
right.
well, and are actually better board members than some of these big dogs.
Oh, for
But
sure.
unfortunately, I know in our business, we have to overcome objections with board members all the time because and until they understand, if we do a good job of explaining to them what we do bring to the table, it gets much better usually. But honestly, today we're at a meeting. How many times are you going to be at the building a week? How many hours? What are we looking at? What do I have to do to sell the community? And I always tell people, listen, time out. Don't sell the community anything. Either you hire us or you don't. Let us communicate with them and explain to them what we do and bring to the table. But I'm not selling anybody. That's just, we're owner's
Yeah.
rep in project management. I was, letting Erik know that. And, we're dealing with projects anywhere from 4 million to 40 million. And it's these people's money that's fixing their buildings. And nobody wants to spend the money. No one comes and goes, hey, really, how big can the assessment get?
Right.
But you have the ones that understand what has to be done, and they understand that we're there to protect them. And then other ones are just so paranoid. A lot of, it's just like dating. They've had some bad experiences in the past. This is two guys that have been married forever, so it's probably a bad example. But us guys that aren't currently married, and you're out there dating, and people carry baggage. Well, even in sales, our clients carry baggage as well. But I think one of the benefits when we're older is we've seen all the craziness and we're not as shocked. So I think it comes better. And with me, I had somebody call me today. They have 38 units in a 10-story building, and they're going to spend, maybe a couple million. I don't think we're the right fit. They're going to have to spend so much money per unit per month to pay for our services that we're really not designed to come to the table. But I gave the president of the board on the phone, I gave her a lot of very valuable information for free. Now, and she was taking notes, and hopefully she'll do what I advised. But she goes, well, can we use you as like a part-time consultant? I said, no, there's too much liability, unfortunately. But I did try to give her some golden nuggets to help them get moving, correct? And I'm sitting there going, man, that address seems really familiar, the name of the building. 2.5 years ago, we were there. And I thought we were, but I wasn't sure. So these people for 2.5 years, they haven't moved. They haven't done anything to further what they need to do to their building.
I think the prices went up a little bit in 2.5 years too.
Oh yeah, for sure. Well, although I'm not sure if they're even realistic on what they're going to spend either.
Right. Right.
The concrete restoration project, you don't know till you're done. It's not a finite repair, major repair and restoration. Anyway, I think unfortunately, young people I think they need to learn from older people. I think somebody said there's two types of people that make mistakes and learn from them, and then people that learn from other people's mistakes and learn from them.
Right.
And some of them we have to go through anyway. That's just life. Yeah, but one of the advantages of being older is we've seen a lot of stuff. What's some of the biggest hurdles you've come through, Erik?
Well, some of the biggest hurdles I've come through, well, I'll name two. One's personal, one's professional. So the personal one, at a young age, going through a very significant health scare with a daughter, and managing work and family in a very high stress situation, taught me a lot about myself, taught me a lot about faith, taught me a lot about work ethic and dealing with some conflict resolution. So, that was very shaping. For me, it was a hard season in life to go. And yet when I look back on it, I could see that even though you don't think you can accomplish stuff, you when you really want to, you can, right? So we were able to sort of juggle both situations, and it worked out in the end. She's very healthy and things are great.
But I did not know the result. I was afraid to ask, but
yeah.
You learn a lot about yourself during that.
Yeah. Well, it was great because the crazy story within it is I was, working for a company. And at the time I was a product manager. And so had a range of products that I was responsible for, development, marketing, some sales support and strategy, et cetera. And the CEO, after a meeting, pulled me in his office one time and in front of a bunch of people had said, "Hey, Norman, when are you going to stop playing nurse and come back to work?"
Uh-oh.
So I went, so that in that moment, so I walked in, meeting's done. I stayed in the office and I asked him point blank. I mean, because it's like, okay, don't put me versus my family. And I asked him as calmly as I could. And I just said, I said, "Are you asking me to choose between my family and work? Because if I need to make that choice, I will make the choice for my family right now." I said, "Alternatively, if you feel that my performance is suffering because I'm trying to balance work with my family, and you can show me where that's suffering, then terminate me and I'll take that termination right now. But if you
That's
can't show that, then I will continue to perform for you, and I will continue to perform for my family. I said, choice is
Wow.
yours. I'm good either way. And I walked out of there and went, wait, what? What did I just say? I'm like,
Well, the fact that you
I'm
said
on
that,
terms of
because
this.
I guarantee you, I would
Yeah.
not have been nearly as nice. I probably would have been arrested for beating the dog
Yeah.
out of the.
Any
Wow.
what I gained was tremendous amount of respect for myself, because I'm like, okay,
absolutely
I responded the way I would want to respond,
right.
and with him, and it actually it helped in terms of career advancement. And I realized in that moment, when you have these tensions going, if it's sort of fight or flight, I realized I'm a little bit lean toward the fight side. So,
I want to go see. I want to go find the guy right now.
yeah, well, you
Right.
can't.
I
He's
can't
he,
imagine ever saying
yeah,
that to somebody.
yeah.
That is what a terrible thing to say.
Yeah, he's passed. The other one was I went through a failed business experience, right? And had all sorts. We won't get into it, but ultimately, at the end of the day, I ended up participating in the closure of a business and going through some really ugly sort of shareholder dissent issues and banking conflict and so forth. And
Right.
You'll learn a lot more through things that have challenges and failures of them. And it was like going through several MBA schools
Right. Right.
all at
Exactly.
once. And that when you reflect back on it, I mean, I wouldn't wish to go through it again, but it certainly informs how you lead and decisions you make, and stuff that you learn. And I learned through that I do a pretty good job leading through conflict and tough times, because I can stay calm, and I'm stressed like crazy underneath the surface of the water, trust me.
Right.
But I've, let's say, for whatever reason, I'm able to modify my self-emotion and just concentrate on, let's keep the problem in front of us and not get caught up with the noise, and let's focus on what I can control and not worry too much about the stuff I can't control.
One thing
True that.
that I know we're kind of bumping up against it, Norm, but I do want to talk about, this will be a good way to end it, is talk about your nonprofit board member experience, helping companies, people elevating their performances. I know that that's been a very important cause for you, and about how you give back. This will be a good way to kind of tie things up.
No, that's cool. I mean, I think, it goes to saying, if you're blessed, be a blessing, or something along those lines. So I think, if we have stuff coming to us, we should also get stuff to other people that maybe don't have that same opportunity, and just be a good human being, actually, at the end of the day. But the nonprofit I'm involved in is called Lift Up, and we actually raise money for other nonprofits through an online platform. And it's sort of crowdsourcing, if you will, for different projects around the world, and soon to do a lot more local projects. We're in the process of launching something new coming up here at toward the end of June. And so that's a fun way to be involved, and just use my time and experience in a constructive way that can help others. And sometimes that's the most rewarding piece. The other side of it, and just helping others I got a dog going crazy. A DoorDasher just dropped by. Um, Wayne's going out to dinner. I'm getting it delivered.
Yeah, right, right.
But
I'm going to Outback.
yeah, I know. Having that blooming onion sounds great.
The blooming onion, God, that's awesome.
No, well,
Um,
there won't be any blooming onion, but
Yeah.
I've been at
Anyway,
blooming onion
helping.
since before my daughter was born. So like 29 years ago, I had I think my one and only blooming onion, and I loved it until the next day, or maybe even that evening.
Yeah,
I
it's
think I had a
good.
little bit too much. Go ahead.
I just say helping other people get unstuck, when they're in different challenging times, and helping them to realize that they can, through adversity, you can actually elevate your performance and your attitude and stuff like that. And I think it's fun to share experience of that, through our own journeys, and just to help encourage and coach others through it. And usually people have it in them. They just need somebody to ask the right questions, or give them the right encouragement, or put a right resource in front of them so that they can grab it.
man,
And
I tell you what, there's never been a better time for for everybody to step their game up and just help people out. Kelly and
Yeah.
I always talk constantly about the need, for strong people. You know, Kelly's involved in a Florida organization called Women Empowering Women. Great, fantastic organization that exists just to do that, right? Everybody needs to up their game. You know, it's kind of a goofy time in America, right? So the people around us that we can support, whether they're in our companies or our families or whatever, everybody needs to step it up, especially people that, you know, that have gifts to offer. You know, Kelly, and you certainly, Erik. I mean, obviously you were one of the people that I think 100% of us pegged as being right where you're at right now when we were very young, for you to end up in the leadership position where you're at right now. And my brother, I have always been proud to call you a friend, really. And I'm so grateful to have you on. Okay.
Well, thank you.
So yeah, and please give my regards to Wendy. Are you guys going to be going to the reunion?
I'm going to be in Egypt, but Wendy will
Oh,
be
that's
there.
right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, so
Wow.
Wendy's going to be there? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing her again. Tell her I'll see her. It's going to be what, in just a little over a week, right?
I know. Yeah, it's just can't believe where the years have gone by. But I appreciate that sentiment, Wayne. And you know,
Yeah.
back at you, class act.
Thank you.
You do the right things for the right reasons, and it's good. Appreciate you.
Appreciate you, my brother. I will
Love
talk
it.
to both of you guys later. And
One more
catch
thing.
up with you.
One more
Yep.
thing. What is July?
Oh, it's Shark Month.
It's Shark Month, baby. It's Shark Month. So
Yep.
everybody tune in, subscribe, look up Erik on the LinkedIn, and you just never know. It's always great to have connections. So good to connect with you, Wayne. It's always a pleasure. We missed you last week, but everybody have a great rest of the week, and we look forward to a very exciting guest next week.
Awesome.
Adios, everyone.
You
Thanks,
guys.
Norm.
Yeah.